it's coming later.
Later.
We're back.
Hi!
Hey.
Hey.
So, I've got all the maps. I've got Classified, Blood, 9, and Voyage of Despair.
So I've seen none of this, actually.
Alright, so we're going to jump into Classified, because I really like Classified.
They should have called it Redacted.
Okay.
Alright, cool. Who the hell are you? You just look like a random dude. Hello? Try again? Now you're ripped off. What? Why?
Oh no, I'm just gonna fucking go in here and play it on myself.
Classified.
And you can even add bots.
What? You can add bots and zombies now?
Yep.
That's amazing. So you're not truly alone. How does that work? Do they get points too?
Yeah.
Do they buy doors?
Randomly, yeah.
That would piss me off.
Also, the talismans, I don't give enough of a shit about, but basically, they're kind of like gobblegums in a sense.
Okay.
They're like the other half of gobblegums, because gobblegums got replaced with the elixirs.
Right.
But there's a few gobblegums that didn't make it, and now they're talisman.
Huh.
We're like...
It's pretty neat.
Alright. The classified shield, unlike all the other shields, has the like SMG built in.
Yeah.
Alright, we're gonna skip this because music.
Yeah.
But the classified
reason,
opening sequence is fucking awesome. I fully recommend watching it if you can.
Pause this video right now. Go open up a new tab and watch the classified opening cinematic, and then come back. Because we don't want to get copyrighted. Because
Just hoping it actually loads.
anytime Daxton does a zombies video, he shows the opening cinematic, and it always gets demonetized and copyrighted instantly.
Will the game load? Is the question. Alright, there we go.
Should probably turn the music off completely. Like, go to
Well,
settings
the only
or-
music is whenever you go to a new round. And it's only for a few seconds at a time. You know, kind of like the old round themes.
Right. So we're in the Pentagon, right?
Yep.
He looks just how I remember it, except yellowish.
Except totally redesigned. Like now there's a whole other area up here.
Man, it's been so long since I've played on, like, 5 in general. Remember the table glitch? That was a thing? Oh my gosh.
People immediately went to try and see if they could do that again.
Like they wouldn't have fixed it. Like, come on, they patched it in regular Black Ops. Of course they're gonna not make the same mistake. Dude, he keeps saying secrets and I want him dead. Like,
This is America, the pot of great milk.
This is America.
Land of
oh
opportunity.
gosh.
Oh hey, it's the arcade song.
Oh, you're clicking.
He's
There
just
ain't no
running and
choice.
popping caps.
Oh yeah, and the box usually starts there. So it's really easy to get to the box right off the bat.
Good. Good.
I don't know what I'm really doing
Wait a
right now,
minute,
to be
I
honest.
shut off wrong
You're just
arm.
looking for those redacted files.
I really do need to see what my hands are doing.
You're looking for classified
Same
information.
day. Strap in, folks. It's gonna get bumpy. Rory.
So someone's cigar is still burning in that ashtray, so it has not been long.
Some sushi would be most welcome. So, many important men work here. Important men have large
Kill
strengths.
him.
One day, I will be
Shoot her.
very important, very big drink. Double points.
Double puntos.
What I do if I look.
I don't know why my dog
I
did
usually
yeah.
need both.
Generally, he does that whenever he feels like there's something outside and wants to go play. But
Or Tyler's in there with a Q-tip. Great story for maybe a Twitch stream.
for hopefully never.
Yeah. Okay.
I was really hoping I'd get Winter's Howl, but this works. Alright, I think the dog wants outside.
You want me to take over?
Yeah. I'm literally just gonna go run and open the door for him.
Okay.
Just make sure I don't die in this few seconds it'll take me.
I'll try my best.
Outside? Yeah, you do.
I was running!
The incision was rather clumsy.
Okay, dudes, so, those of you who were asking about the conspiracy podcast, I actually submitted it to Apple, and they,
Watch us get denied.
yeah, no, we won't. We'll make it. But yeah, so, it's all about waiting for Apple to get back to me. Oh, hi! And whenever they get back, yeah, our podcast will be uploaded on iTunes, Conspiring Conspiracy Theorists. Or any podcast.
Really gone in a few months.
Yeah, so that brings me to my next point. Tomorrow, I was wanting to, when we all get together before we do our D&D session, maybe make a short, like, 45-minute podcast, something like that.
Alright, just want to show up earlier.
Yeah, because tomorrow's Sunday, so, Gibson has work the next morning, and Jacob Chambers has work the next morning. What am I doing here? I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah, Davin can't comprehend computer gaming.
Yeah, no.
That's why it's usually me playing the game unless we have split screen, but Black Ops 4 does not have split screen at the moment.
Yeah.
Which once it does, I will gladly let him join in, kind of like what we did when we played Black Ops 3, but again, it's not in this game yet.
Right. Oh yeah, because we did a custom zombies thing too for Black Ops 3 that got demonetized because the dude added music to it. So we got copyrighted and demonetized instantly. I can't remember if it actually got to the point where they just banned it from YouTube or not, but
I don't know, I mean, like, we've had some pretty offensive videos before because of some certain people.
Daxton, Tyler, Keegan.
Oh my god, yeah.
Keegan
Like,
was probably the worst.
No, Tyler. Tyler dropping racial slurs.
Dude,
that was unacceptable.
Okay, we have an old video that we probably should delete. We should go ahead and delete that one because it was back when like we were first starting. We got Tyler on because we were Gibson was hosting a LAN party, so we were all, you know, bringing our PCs over. And
if this was before like anyone except for me really had like a gaming machine, so
right.
we played Pretend You're XYZZY. I think we played on turn, but we decided not to record it because we weren't really having a good time.
Yeah, we did the Cards Against Humanity thing.
Yeah, Pretend You're XYZZY.
So we were doing that, and before we started recording, we looked dead at Tyler because Tyler's the one who always says messed up stuff at all times. And we're like, look, man, this is back what we had 30 subscribers, somewhere around that.
Yeah, we had a tremendously low number.
Yeah, so we were saying, look, Tyler, don't don't say anything, all right? Nothing offensive, nothing like that, because he does it as a joke, but like that's not. Yeah, so he we get what 5 minutes into the recording and he just says the N-word.
Oh, dude, he says it through like the whole recording.
So yeah, I think we should just go ahead and delete that.
We're going to.
Or make
it's
it
just,
private.
I've literally been too lazy to go through and comb through our old videos because there's more than just that. It's,
yeah.
Like I will say like fag and like retard interchangeably, but like we're talking about where people draw racial slurs in our videos.
Yeah, where they totally just crossed the line.
This was well before editing was a thing to us. So
we would just upload as is and pray. But yeah, it's just
which I'm not trying to say that saying fag or retard is socially acceptable either, but it is far less, like...
And it's not like you're meaning it in the literal sense, like that. Like you're not really going up to someone who's mentally disabled and saying retard. You know what I mean? Like you're.
It's funny because I am mentally disabled.
That's true. Gibson is.
Yeah, fun fact.
So you're allowed to say that. You have your R card.
People did actually bully me after the accident, calling me a retard, and I was like, okay.
I told you I'd fight him. Just like how we met, or how we became friends, Gibson. This is not my blood.
Jesus.
We've told that story, haven't we?
I think we told that. I'm pretty sure we have.
Well,
if not a few times.
Well, we're telling it again. So, it was, what was this, sophomore year? It was was it? Freshman, sophomore year? High school?
Yeah, it was sophomore, because I was after one of my driving classes.
Yes.
It was not driving classes, but the class for driver's ed,
yeah,
where they teach you how to pass the written test.
So Gibson walks out. I'm going to start it from here. Gibson walks out and walks up to me. And Gibson always thought I was kind of annoying at this point.
Oh, dude.
Up until this point.
It was up until like the end of our freshman year that I genuinely didn't like Davin.
Yeah.
But at one point, he stopped like seeming like such a tard and more like a more like a normal fucking person.
Medicine. It did its job. But so Gibson walks out and goes, Davin? Because Gibson, why don't you tell them all that you saw, what you saw?
All right, so I come down the steps because our school is fancy schmancy. It has 2 floors. Goodbye. And fucking, I walk down steps. I look over and I see Davin just facing away like this at a window, and I'm like, Davin, are you okay? He turns over his shoulder. He's like, this is not my blood. And I'm,
all Gibson saw were my hands drenched in blood. So what had happened was, my mom is the vice principal of the high school that we went to, and that's probably what saved me from like expulsion, because I really it was
because your mom refused to let you like get kicked out.
Yeah, so I just got in-school suspension for a few days. But so what had happened was, I was having a pretty shitty day, to be honest, and I was just, right when school let out, I went up to the, we had like vending machines, so I went up there to get one of the Propel waters, the flavored waters. So I was doing that, and the machine like took my money and didn't give me the drink, and I was like, so I go to put in more money, and then this guy comes up behind me and starts just saying some dumb shit about my girlfriend, man, and like, that's what set me off. And I'm not saying it was justified or anything like that, obviously, but it just, at that point, it was the straw that broke the camel's back, and I just snapped, kind of, and I turned around and said, I was like, you say one more fucking word about anything, like, and I'm taking you to the fucking ground. And he said something, I can't remember, I don't know who he insulted next, but he insulted somebody towards me, so I just, man of my word, I took him to the ground, and I just saw red, and I blacked out, basically.
I killed him.
Yeah. Well, no, and then when I came to, the principal was,
no, Skinner.
Well, it was Skinner and Merriweather. Merriweather was the other.
He was the vice
assistant.
principal.
Yeah. So they were both like kind of screaming, but I just heard ringing in my ears. They were yelling at me and stuff like that, and I was like, what? And then they like took me to the office, and as I looked back, I saw this kid like cowering, dude, and like his face was messed up, and not like to the point of unrepair, but like he just, I guess I had hit him in the nose, so he was bleeding a lot because I had got that love tap on that nose. But he, there was just like a trail of like blood drips from the vending machines to the stairs. How far were the stairs? Like a little bit of a ways, right?
Yeah, they're a decent distance.
And like tables are turned over. So I guess what had happened was I had dragged this man, and my knuckles were fucked. Like they were just done. And I guess I had dragged this man to the stairs. I don't know, but I probably would have gotten expelled if it wasn't for my mom. And then I went to talk to him whenever I was out of in-school suspension, because I was you know, I did feel bad. I did. So I was gonna talk to him, couldn't find him anywhere, and then I'm gonna leave his name out of this just for, you know, but couldn't find him anywhere. And then it turns out, yeah, he just transferred schools.
That's heart-touching, Davin.
I later messaged him on Facebook, like, once I found out his last name. He forgave me.
You're like, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna finish where I started sophomore year. No, but he said it's alright. He knew that he crossed the line, and that's what he told me. And I apologized for, you know, kind of just ragdolling this man through a flight of stairs. But so yeah, he forgave me.
I didn't forgive him.
Yeah, I'm still mad. I want him to go. I want to liquidate him. Watch our other videos. I want to get that reference. But no, you know, it was fine after that. He was cool about it. I was cool about it. Once again, I do not condone that. If you're going to fight anybody, make sure it's in somewhat of a sanctioned area, like a ring, or make sure an official is nearby. Like,
Stay back, maggot face. Not in the mood for your shit.
yeah, I try not to get into fights anymore unless it's like, you know, in a ring, like MMA fights and stuff like that. But
I like max ammo.
which reminds me, last night when I was done working my shift, a couple of my friends and I went to Denny's. We went to get some like pancakes, and we were there, and like these group of guys were sitting there, and one dude grabbed the other dude by the throat, and for some reason it just really pissed me off, because first of all, if you're gonna get into a fight, don't grab someone by the throat and like kind of walk with them. Like, if you're gonna fight somebody, fight somebody. Don't fucking hold somebody by the neck. Like, are you kidding me?
So how are they supposed to know you love them, bro? You gotta grab them by the throat.
So I told them, I was like, hey, come on, like, come the fuck on. Are you fucking serious? Like, you really gonna do this shit here? I was like, if you're gonna fucking do this dumb shit, go outside. And they kind of looked at me, and one of the other dudes had pointed at me while talking with one of the other dudes. So I was like, please try something. Which, once again, I don't condone it, but so I got up from my table, and all my friends were like, no, Davin, no, because they thought I was gonna go over and like fight him or something. But
you're like, yeah,
and I did. I liquidated them all. No, so I walked up there, and I am the Golden God. Walked up there, the dude who had pointed at me and the guy who I guess was like looking at me, they had kind of shuffled outside. Oh, I forgot to mention cops stood up right when he grabbed him by the throat, so it was like not gonna happen. But so I walked up to the other guy who got his throat grabbed, and I was like, hey man, you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine, I just thought he was my friend, but I guess not. And I was like, well, I'm sorry, hang in there. And he's like, thanks for checking on me. So I felt good about myself.
He's like, you're really cute. He's like, I could get your number.
What are you like doing later? Nah, so I patted him on the back and walked off. Walked back to the table. One day I'm just gonna tell all my fight stories, and it's gonna have to be like a 36-hour-long live stream.
I could be like, hey, there was this one time I beat a dude with a chair.
That's true, Gibson did do that. Gibson, why don't you tell that story?
Okay, so it was like 7th grade. There's this dude, we'll just call him Tony. Well,
he was on the football team, right?
Yeah, Tony was our wide receiver on our middle school's football team. Big fucking guy, you know, he's a fucking tank. We're in choir. Like, he and I were actually like pals, because he was cool and I was cool. Well, at one point, we're sitting there and one of his friends does not like me at all. And he like convinces him to like start fucking with me and start like flicking this weird thing at the back of my head. And I'm like, hey man, stop that. And he's like, what are you gonna do? I was like, I will kill you. And he's like, he's like, I'd like to see you try. And then I turn it back around, he stops it for a minute. He goes right back to doing it, like, not even 5 minutes later. And I go, okay, I'm doing this. So I picked up my chair, I turned around, and I started beating him upside the head with it. This guy is like 4 times my size.
True story.
And I was only like 4'4". I was a little chubby kid. My parents loved me somewhat.
My parents love me somewhat.
And
German, believe it or not, I don't really want you
this
dead.
guy, he suffered a pretty bad concussion, and I think he had to get a few stitches on his head. I was virtually unscarred. Like, this guy did not land a single hit on me because I got the jump on him. Like, we're inquiring.
He couldn't fight off the chair.
I sat in front of him, and I got the jump on him, and I just went to town on his head with the metal chair. We went back to class, and I was like, hey, and he's like, look, I am very sorry for what happened, like, back then. This was after he came back, and it was like a week or 2 later. And I was like, oh, if anything, I'm sorry for, like, fucking up your noggin like that. He's like, yeah, they had to take me off the football team for the season because they were worried about my head. And I was like,
well, you know, the moral of the story here is don't pick on people. That's literally, yeah, don't pick on people. Gibson, the tiniest boy at that time, took out this, like, giant man. Like, don't pick on people. You don't know what they're capable of and what they'll do if pushed to the limit. Like, don't. And if you see something, say something. Like, stick up for them. That's what I do for everybody. You don't have to be my friend. We could be enemies. But if I see someone fucking with you, dude, I'm not gonna let that slide. That's something I can't stand, is when people are bullying people. I've never been able to keep my cool about that. And it's gotten me in trouble a lot of times. Why don't you tell the story about, let's leave his name out of it, but bashing the thing over his head?
alright, well, like, fast forward a few years, it was like maybe my junior year or sophomore year of high school. Like, that was my last fight, mind you. That when I fought that guy, ever since then I've been terrified of my own, like, anger strengths.
Capabilities, man.
So, like, I just never dared touch another person. And I still to this day haven't actually gotten in a fight. I mean, I have, like, slapped a few people around and I've punched a dude once, but I've not been in an actual fight. Well, this one guy wanted to fight me because he had a really big thing for my cousin. And he was very open about it. And he was so open about it to the point that he was like, oh yeah, well I'm gonna beat the shit out of you in front of your cousin so that way I can impress her because you're really strong. And I was like, I think the fuck not, dude. And at one point, I guess he thought like I was trying to like damage his name or whatever. Because out of random, this guy decided he was gonna fight me in the hall where there was a bunch of people around. And I was like, I'm not gonna fight you, dude. And he was like, well, if you're not gonna fight me, then I'll fight you. And I'm like, that's not how a fight works, bud, but okay. And as he's about to, like, come up to me, that guy, Tony, came up behind him. And he's like, you don't want to do that. And he's like, who are you and why? He's like, the last time that guy fought,
I was his previous victim.
He's like, the last time that guy fought, I wound up in a hospital and they stitched my head together. And he's like, okay, not doing this. And he walked off. And then, like, I talked to him, like, a year later. And he's like, yeah, your cousin basically blocked me on all social media, so I don't talk to her anymore. And I was like, good. It's great. He's like, so,
we cool?
Are we cool? And I was like, I mean,
sure.
Like, you never really did anything other than you wanted to fight me for literally nothing. He's like, oh.
Oh. What about, when you, was it a netbook that you used on that one guy?
You talk about Jawway.
Oh god, you said his name. Okay, yeah.
Oh my god.
It's okay, I'm sure there's plenty of Jawways out there. You gotta tell the story. This episode's gonna have to be called, Black Ops 4 Zombies, and then parentheses, just fucking fight stories.
Black Ops fight stories.
There you go.
Anyways, this kid, he's a very smart guy. And now he's like actually not an asshole, but at the time he was an asshole.
He's pretty successful too now.
Yeah, he was like, I'm smarter than everyone, and I'm going to flex about it all that I can, cause I'm smart. And it's like, okay.
Don't be that guy.
He thought he was so smart. He was like, I'm gonna be better than you at everything. And I was like, are you gonna be better than me at a beatdown? And he's like, what? And I took my netbook and I smashed it over the top of his head.
This was back when Gibson
This
really
was
had the
this
anger
was
problem.
also in middle school.
Yeah.
And what's funny is, like, not a single teacher was upset with me about it. I mean, yeah, sure, I just took my fucking netbook and I took the top part, which is nowhere near as bad as the bottom.
Right.
And I just cracked his fucking head with it. He was like, why'd you do that? And I was like, I'd really appreciate if you'd stop trying to flex on me for no reason. He's like, I'm not flexing. I'm just trying to say that I'm really smart. I'm like, dude, you take every chance you can get to say you're smarter than everyone. Stop.
That kid also got an F on an assignment that he should have gotten an A on because he fucked with the teacher about it. Like.
Oh god, yeah. So we were in history class, same class that I hit him at the head with. Like, this was maybe 2 months later, and I feel like he got the inspiration for it from me. But there was this assignment we had, and I remember we had to work with partners on it. He decided to work alone because he's, you know, Mr. Smarty Pants. I worked with my buddy Reed, and me and my buddy Reed, we met at the library all the time so we could put this project together, and I did like a lot of it because I was like, I'm not about to let my friend fail this assignment, because I'll admit I was not a good student in middle school, which is surprising to a lot of people considering how well I did in college, but I was
Gibson's really smart.
I was
you have
a
to realize,
shitty person.
if you're not doing well in school, that doesn't mean you're not smart. That the school system wants you to adhere to their ethics and their whatever. If you don't listen to your teacher, you're not smart. Like, no, that's not how it works. If you want to be smart, you question everything and you find your own path for things. That's how it should be. You shouldn't be, because of your academic level, you shouldn't be judged on your intelligence. But anyway.
Well, this presentation, like, he did it alone, and he thought everyone else's presentations were rather bland and dumb. So he went out of his way so that he could have it, like, on the final submission date, so that way he could flex on everyone extra hard, because he thought had best for last. Well, he did some kind of, like, old battleship, like, super old, where they had cannons on them.
He did a good job.
He did a really good job. Like, it was amazing. It had LEDs wired in it for, like, light effects for the cannons firing. The teacher gave him a 0, an F. And the sole reason for it was they didn't have electricity back then. Never have I ever seen this kid so angry. Actually, I think this is the only time I've ever seen this kid angry. He took his netbook and smashed the top of it on his desk, screamed, and then walked out of the room.
Never to be seen again.
Well, I of course laughed my ass off because, you know, I didn't like the kid. He was a fucking prick. Everyone else thought it was funny too because he was a fucking prick. And he was like, I got the best for last. Just to get a 0, which even I got like an 80 on, I think, because the teacher thought it was.
Because you didn't use LED.
Which, to him, I guess was a huger insult because, like, a lot of us in that class were bad kids. And he was like Mr. Goody Two-Shoes, so seeing everyone get a good grade but him, I guess hit really close to home for him. And it doesn't help that the kid's Asian, so everyone's of course going to drop the stereotype on him of being like really smart and all
right. Okay, so back to me, I guess. Let's see, which story? I could do a couple high school stories. I guess the one, so I guess we're gonna call this guy Rick. So Rick was in my grade, and we were in gym class. We were playing handball, where it's basically like, how would you describe that game? Like, you just throw the ball, and if you have the ball, you have to stay in one place.
It's like ultimate frisbee, but with a ball.
Yeah. So
it's actually a lot more amusing since the ball does not travel nearly as far as a frisbee, which is exactly why we played it in school.
So he was on my team, and he kept coming down and elbowing me in the head, like just slightly, but it was irritating. So after the third time, I was like, hey, knock it off. And he did it again, and I was like, look, man, the next time you do that, your head's gonna be hitting the ground. Or I said, the next time you do that, I'm gonna bounce your head off the floor. So he did it again, so I bounced his head off the floor. I grabbed him by the collar of his shirt and I basically jerseyed this man like in hockey, like just and then threw him on the ground, and he actually did hit his head, but it like bounced, and I was like, oh, true to my word, but you know, not at the time. At the time, I was just pissed, and then
I can't repack it.
I helped him up though, right after I did that, because that's my thing. Once I snap, but then whenever I come to, I regret what I do, and I went to help him up, and he's like, fuck off, and all that, and I was like, okay. So then we went to the principal's office, and this was when Elmer was the vice principal.
She who shall not be named.
I'm so glad we didn't go to her. She would have suspended us, but we went to our principal, Mr. Skinner, and his reasoning, he said, boys will be boys, and he goes, just go back to class. It's wild.
What a Skinner thing to say.
But Rick and I made up in the office, and I think that's why Skinner was like, okay, we'll go. And then in that same gym class, we had a sub, so they mixed this is back when I was a junior, they mixed, I was a sophomore, they mixed the sophomores with the seniors. And this senior, I'm gonna call him Kyle. So Kyle, we're playing dodgeball, and he threw a ball, and I caught it, and I go, you're out, and he goes, fuck you, pussy, no I'm not, and I'm like, okay. So I throw the ball, and it hits him, and I'm like, you're out, and he's like, fuck you, and he's like, step over this line and tell me I'm out. So I drew a line with my foot and stepped over it and said, you're out. And then he pushed me, so I grabbed his shirt and headbutted him in the nose, and he got a few punches in on me, and I got a few punches in on him. He ripped my white cotton shirt down to like nothing, and I just remember that first headbutt though, they made him gush, dude, like it got right there, so he was just, but so we just kind of kept swinging until it was broken up, and we went to the Miss Elmer's office, and what she did was she gave us in-school suspension for the rest of the day because we needed to learn to coexist with each other.
That is
the stupidest thing,
dumb.
yeah. So he only did half days. So he was gone after 10 minutes inside of there, and I had to stay there the rest of the day. But Dalton Gray was in there, and we just threw a ball back and forth. I almost got into a fight with Dalton Gray before that. Were you there? Like, did you ever see that?
Me and that guy never got along, dude.
Did you ever, were you there for the football game where him and I got into it?
I was never there for the football games. I didn't go to my first football game until I dated my ex.
Really?
Yeah. That was actually me and my ex's, like, second date? Because, like, our first date, oddly enough, I snuck her into a bar because one of my friends was playing.
Gibson doesn't drink.
Yeah, I don't drink, which is even funnier. That I snuck into a bar of all places that I could have been.
Gibson's the straight edge man.
It was for my first date with her, and mind you, she is from a very Christian family, and they're like, no underage drinking because that's what the imbeciles do, you know.
Imbeciles.
And I'm like, okay, well,
I come from a Christian family too, and I'm a Christian, but
like a lot of Christians are either like no underage drinking, or they're like, well, you can drink whenever you go to church. It's cool.
Like I'm a Christian, but I'm not the type of Christian that judges other religions or anything like that, because that's not what I believe in. The Bible says to be accepting, so I'm accepting. But anyway, at the football game, Dalton Gray and I got into it. And we were about to fight. I don't even remember what it was about, man. I don't remember at all. But he was like, "I'm a wrestler, and I'm gonna put your head through those bars or whatever." And I was like, "I'm gonna remove your head and put it on a spike." Like we were getting crazy about it. And Emily, we weren't dating at the time, but we were kind of like, you know, flirting and hanging out. She was trying to talk me down from fighting him, but it got to the point where he just kept at it. So I just walked up to him, and I shoved him as hard as I could, and he lost his footing, and then he gets back up, and he just gets in this, like, wrestler stance. So I get in my Muay Thai stance, because I'm like, okay, I'm throwing elbows and knees at this fucker. I'm like, I'm done. So he, because I took Muay Thai for years. I took Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like, even if he took me to the ground, I could have gotten him in a submission. Like, it would not have ended well for him. I promise. So we're about to get into it, and I turn over and look, and Emily just has her phone out now to record. And I'm like, oh, you done trying to talk me out of it? She's like, just has the phone out. But before we could, Merriweather had come up and he's like, stop! Both of you, come with me.
Dude, actually about bored of this now. That's like my problem with playing zombies on here is I don't have my friends to play it with.
Yeah.
So like.
That's why Daxton and I need to get it for PC.
Yeah, for real. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the game. And
thanks for listening to our fight stories, dudes.
Yeah.
Let me see. I might have one more that I can think of. Should I tell the Ballad of Moped Guy? You remember him?
What about time you almost got shot?
Little Caesars? Alright.
Which is, by the way, our favorite pizza place.
Oh, yeah. So Gibson and I go to Little Caesars with another one of our friends at the time. And
there's Austin, yeah.
So we walk in, and there's this. This is in Gymtown, guys. Which, if you've watched any of our old videos, like our oldest videos, you know we talk about Gymtown. We always allude to it because it's the craziest side of town. All right, it became there's north, west, east, south, Gymtown, and Boxtown. They got their own names. Okay, like that's how bad it is that we have to.
Which Gymtown is like a culmination of like the west side and the south side, whereas Boxtown is like the north side and east side, but they only really formulate around like the borders. So it literally is like there's 6 sides of town.
Yeah, it's wild. So we're in Gymtown for some reason just to get these pizzas, man. So we yeah, that's right, because Cody K and Cody B were back at the condo. So we went to pick up pizza for everybody. So we go out, we're in Little Caesars, and there's this, I don't know if he didn't look like he was on drugs or anything, he was just pissed off. This black guy out at the drive-thru, which the drive-thru was closed. Why are we lagging so bad on the camera? Jesus. So, sorry about that. He was outside kind of just banging on the drive-thru window, and Gibson and I are just laughing at him. Like, we're just hysterical. Just because it was funny. Like, he's just like, hi, hello, like, you know. So, he looks through the drive-thru. He just kind of turns his gaze. He's just like, and just sees Gibson. And Gibson's just like, ha, ha, ha. So, the dude walks around, and I'm like, oh, Gibson. He walks in and goes, first thing we notice, the dude's got a piece, all right?
Yeah, he's open carrying.
Yeah, he's got a gat in the front of his pants, like handle out everything. So we see that first, and then I look up to him, and he goes, "What's so funny?" So I go, "Cause I'm about to say some smart shit." So Gibson immediately goes, and then take it away, Gib.
I just think it's funny how they can see you banging on the window over there, and they've been passing right on by here, and they haven't been taking your order. And he's like, that is funny. He walked behind the counter, and I looked at Davin, and I was like, alright, they are dead.
They're done.
They are dying. And thankfully, we're not it.
It's a good story.
And eventually, the manager popped in the door, like, we saw him
scrawniest white guy.
We already saw the manager. He was behind the counter. He walked back to the kitchen, which then that guy walked in, and then he walked behind the counter. Then all of a sudden, the manager walks through the front door again, and I'm confused as to how he got out, because there's only like one back entrance.
He teleports.
However, if he went out that back entrance, he would have went by that guy on the way back. So I was like super confuckled about what happened. And obviously that guy went back there and he only saw like the one person working the oven, so he came back really confused. The manager comes up, gets in his face, goes, "What's up?"
Scrawniest white guy gets in this man's face, knows he has a gun, like doesn't care.
And the dude backs down.
Yeah.
And I'm just like confused, and Austin's there like
in the corner cowering, okay? Like
Austin talks
big.
He talks big, but then as soon as something's about to happen, he like backs off.
And this isn't like, Trumpy or any of our other friends that may be Austin. I don't want to give his last name, but it starts with a C. We'll just leave it at that.
Well, he like backs off and he like kind of takes an observer role closer to the wall. So like the whole time we went back to the condo, we're like, yeah, dude, you guys should have seen it. Like Austin like freaked out. He was like trying to get away, and he was like, no, I wasn't.
He's like, I was in the heat of the action. Like
Like, dude, the heat of the action was me. I was between Davin and the guy. The guy was there.
Because I was going to fight the guy.
This guy was, like, here on me, and I'm only, like, 5'8". So, I'm not even big. And this guy, he was like, what's so funny?
Literally just like that. But my problem is, when I feel disrespected, like, I can't back down. So I was like, okay, he's got a gun. All that was going through my head was, by the time he goes to reach for that gun, I can at least get 3 or 4 hits off that may be enough to get him to raise his guard instead of the gun. But yeah, Gibson might have saved my life.
I'm really good at bullshitting my way out of situations like that.
And last story I'll tell, it's a quick one, moped guy. Okay, so where my girlfriend and I live at, it is not necessarily a decent part of town, and they're a little...
It's Gymtown.
Basically, so...
Actually...
It is.
Yeah,
it's Gymtown.
He lives in Gymtown.
I'm right on the border of Gymtown, but it's basically becoming Gymtown. They're just expanding their borders, it seems like, but...
I'm east side.
Yeah, he's barely outside the realm of Gymtown. He's like...
I'm like 5
yeah, you're
miles
5
away.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even 5, but it's like 3.
Yeah, you're really close. But so I'm pulling out of my driveway, and moped guy just... This guy on a moped just swings by me, and I'm like, hey, whoa. And I finish pulling out, and he stops in the middle of the road, and I roll down my window, I'm like, hey, and he goes, fuck you. And I'm like, huh? He goes, fuck you. And I'm like, all right, man, have a good one. And I just roll my window up. I'm like, and then he drives off, and he just crashes into a trash can, and he falls down. And I'm just thinking, karma's a bitch. But I'm like, but I'm a good Christian boy. I can't leave him there. So I get out of the car, and I'm like, I help him. I get the moped off him, and I start to help him up. I'm like, hey, dude, you straight? And he just hooks me, and I'm like, okay, maybe he didn't mean to. Then he hits me again, and I'm like, thinking in my head, I'm starting to get a little angry. He hits me one more time, so then I just haul off and destroy this man, dude. My knuckle stomach healed up from that, dude, and that was, how long ago? Like a year and a half ago, something like that? So I just tore this man up, but once he hit the ground, I stopped. Like, I didn't knock him out, I just hit him, knocked him on his butt. But I was hitting him really hard, and I shouldn't have hit him that hard, but... He, like, fell down and everything.
We don't condone violence.
Yeah, we don't condone violence. We're just here to tell you experiences. So, dude, like, stays on his ass for a minute just to recuperate. So I get back in my car, and I just turn. I'm like, the fuck's your deal? And I get in my car and drive off. I was like, I was helping you, asshole. And then drove away. And I went straight to Daxton's, and Daxton became my hood doctor because he had fixed up. I wish Daxton was here to tell his side of things, because, like, I totally just... showed up at his door, and he was like, what? He's like, what's up, man? And he's like, your knuckles, oh my gosh. Like, and I was like, yeah, I beat up a dude on a moped. And he's like, why? And then he's like, come here. And he gets me in the back, and he grabs out like this whole like medical kit. Okay, not a first aid kit. Like, his whole medicine cabinet is filled with this stuff, and he's just like a witch with some elixirs or something, man. He's like pouring stuff into stuff, getting like the cotton balls, and he's like cleaning my hands for me, and then he wraps them, and he's like, you gotta stop fighting. And I'll wait for a day that Daxton's here to tell the story of the apartment fight with...
You know what, we should literally just have a general podcast, or even the, like, general vlog again.
Yeah.
You know, like, actually record vlogs of us just, like, normal hanging out.
Yeah. Maybe that can be the next conspiracy episode, because alien theorists theorizing do something called power hours every now and then, where they take a break from conspiracies and alien topics, and they just sit around, drink some beers, tell stories. We could do the same.
Like, I've been thinking about doing my own, like, various series, like Gib's Workshop, because I will blow up my own Snapchat story about, like, different advice.
Can confirm.
Yeah, I'll blow up about, like, different advice on things to do. Like, for instance, when I was making my Game Boy, I was giving advice on how to test wiring and how to select solder and the right solder iron for your project, which I built my own Game Boy here.
Show them the tiny arcade that you built.
And here's this tiny cade, which, by the way, I got this from my mom, and my first thought was, I wonder if I can make porn run on it.
Yep.
After a couple hours of researching through Reddit,
He called us all over here.
I found a video file converter to convert to this old 16-bit format that this device could play. By God, I did it. So I called up the gang and I was like, "You guys will never believe what I did today."
He didn't tell us. He didn't tell us until we got here.
Yeah, they get here, and at the time the speaker on it still worked, which the speaker fell off because it was a really cheapy boy speaker. But they got here and they're like, "All right, Gibson, what do you have for us today?" And I was like, "I have porn."
And we're like, "Okay, what?"
Porn on this tiny little screen. It's like a 1-inch screen.
It was wild, dude. I don't know.
I also thought about having a series where I work on my car or other cars.
That can be a part of Gibbs' workshop.
Like, last time I worked on a Chambers A80 or GT86. I always want to say A86.
Oh yeah, we were all out there.
And
me and Jacob were out there.
At one part, I lost my footing while I'm there trying to hook the quick release kit onto his rear fender, or quarter panel rather. I slipped and I caught my arm on the inner chassis and I slashed it in 3 different places, but none of the 3 slashes went deep enough to draw blood. So you just saw like purple lines across my arm.
Gibson has like scaly armor on his skin, dude. He has like scale mail.
Which I was so baffled by. I remember I put it on my Snapchat story. People were like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "What the fuck happened? How are you?"
You're like, physically, yes. Mentally, yeah.
Oh man.
All right, we should probably end this episode here. But if you guys want
the episode is just stories.
If you guys want us to do a different podcast,
Probably do it anyways.
yeah, that's true. We're gonna do it. But if you want to see it, let us know. If you want more conspiracies, let us know. I actually don't, because you guys blow me up enough about it, and I promise we'll get back to it.
Also, for those that keep asking for VR content,
Oh my gosh,
we are working on it.
we're trying. Okay, we're trying so
By
hard.
the way, I did buy another sensor for my Oculus, so that way we'd have 360 tracking.
So we can turn around
No.
and the hand motions will still work.
However, as you may have seen with other VR content, it's probably not so noticeable on some games, but our audio desyncs, whether by a few milliseconds or by a few like whole seconds.
Or sometimes it
It's
starts
really
recording
bad.
the game and then doesn't, or
Yeah, sometimes it'll
it cuts
start
off the top.
Yeah, sometimes they'll start recording one over the other. So like we'll have video and then a minute later the audio will start. And it's like, okay, great.
Because I know a lot of people are
awful.
wanting more Gorn and stuff like that. We're working on it. I promise. We're working on it. We'll get to everything, guys. Don't worry.
Like I recorded myself testing, not testing, but doing the crab fight in Gorn, and the audio didn't record at all, and I was really upset.
Plus, you know, a few months ago, Gibson released something called Gibbs Teaser Trailer 1, 2, and 3, I believe. Or maybe just 1 and 2. It was
Super Hot is still the only game I've been able to record where the audio syncs perfectly.
So we can do that.
That's about it.
Yeah. So we'll do that video probably. You know, we could try for next weekend. We'll try to do a Super Hot video if you're down. Maybe we can get Daxton in on it too and watch him fail. That'll be fun. But yeah, Gibson's kind of god tier at that.
I stopped playing for a very long time, and I picked it back up like the other day, and I still went ham.
Yeah, dude, Gibson
I'm
in
not-
VR is crazy.
I'm not like the best, but I'm good.
Alright guys, thanks for listening to us ramble for 20 minutes if you stuck around this long. And we'll see you guys whenever. The next thing we'll upload will probably be the next episode of our podcast. So stay tuned for that.
Bye.
Bye.